Yeah, it was a good time.
Ask Diane if she has one. You don't have any extra agendas, do you?
You, Diane? Okay. I have 6:30
Right
plus. Ready? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's regular meeting of the Woburn City Council for December 5th. Before we get started, I would remind everybody that we are being recorded and broadcast. With that, I'd ask you to please silence your cell phones. And while we are in the chamber with the colors present, I'd ask you to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
Councilor Campbell.
Present.
Councilor Demers.
Present.
Councilor Dillon.
Present.
Councilor DeAmbro.
Present.
Councilor Ferrillo.
Present.
Councilor Gately.
Here.
Councilor Mercer Bruin.
Here.
Councilor Viola.
Present.
President Concanon.
Present. We note with joy that our friend Councilor Gately is with us again in the chamber. Happy to have him back, feeling well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dick. And we also note with us our councilors-elect, Rob Toro and Bill Papalato. Welcome, gentlemen.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that Diane J. Stifler be named the clerk of the City Council Pro Tem in the absence of the clerk of the council.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
I
I, Diane Stifler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Commonwealth of
to
Massachusetts
the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and will support the Constitution thereof
and will support the Constitution thereof
as clerk of City Council Pro Tem.
as clerk of City Council Pro Tem.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I
I, Diane Stifler,
do hereby accept the position
do hereby accept the position
of Clerk of City Council Pro Tem
of Clerk of City Council Pro Tem
to act in this capacity
to act in this capacity
for the purpose of the City Council meeting
for the purpose of the City Council meeting
of December 5th, 2023,
of December 5th, 2023,
and do hereby promise
and do hereby promise
to act in accordance
to act in accordance
with statutes and
with
ordinances
statutes and ordinances
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
First item on the agenda under Mayor's Communications was a communication dated November 23rd, 2023, received from His Honor, the Mayor Scott Galvin, regarding the following order and amending the Woburn Municipal Code in Title III Revenue and Finance, Article 5 Assistance Programs, Sections 3 and 25, the Senior Citizen Property Tax Work-Off Program. Make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we take the next four matters collectively. Communication was received from His Honor the Mayor on December 5th, asking that the four items be withdrawn without prejudice. I'll make a motion that we receive that communication, make it part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion second on those communications, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to grant the leave to withdraw without prejudice. And on the motion, I just wanted to clarify for the folks at home that these matters are being withdrawn because to have pending matters during our tax classification season, it would impact our tax classification. So by withdrawing these matters, we can take them up at a later date, and it won't impact anything with the Division of Local Services.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second on that as well, Counselor Dillon?
Second, yes, sir.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next matter on the agenda is an order for this, to the City Council for the City of Woburn that Title II Administration Personnel, Article 3 Mayor of Woburn from the Municipal Code be amended to change the mayor clerical assistant's position to an assistant to the mayor for community outreach. I'll make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item is an order to change Title II, Article, 28, Compensation of Officers and Employees, Section 2-180, Base Salaries in the Municipal Code, changing the base salary of the Assistant to the Mayor Community Outreach to $75,000 and the Assistant to the Mayor, Administrative Assistant to the Mayor to $74,418.33. I'll make a motion that the matters are referred to the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Under new petitions is a petition for renewal for a first-class motor vehicle license by Gordon Colonial, Inc., 201 Cambridge Road, Northeast Tree, 62 Holton Street. Make a motion that that matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is a petition for renewal of second-class motor vehicle sales license by the following: Anchor Auto Sales, Inc. of 3 Breed Ave, Murray Enterprises, Inc. of 89 Wynn Street, JFSO Auto Sales, LLC, 84 to 86 Wynn Street, McSheffrey's SE LLC, doing business as McSheffrey's of the South End, 75 Main Street, Tracy M. Batten, doing business as Tracy's Auto Sales, 62R Wynn Street, George's Auto Body of Woburn, Inc., 19 Jefferson Avenue, number C, Montvale Ave Auto Care, 317 Montvale Ave, and Capella's Auto Service, 22 Wynn Street. Make a motion that that matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Under public hearings, the first public hearing of the evening is on a petition by NSTAR Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy for the grant of right-of-way to install approximately 574 feet of conduit from pole 625-1 east of Forest Park Road to the end of Thomas Street. Communication was received December 5th, 2023, from Emmy McSweeney, right-of-way clerk of Eversource, regarding the revised plan pertaining to tonight's hearing on Thomas Street, and a memo was received via email from DPW Superintendent about the matter. I'll make a motion that both documents be received and made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion on those communications, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi, we're requesting a grant of location to install conduit on Thomas Street, and as part of our capital work, we're upgrading the network to increase reliability. And we saw Jay's recommendations and we agree with them.
Okay, great.
Okay, total agreement with what he's,
Yes,
Okay,
what he's
thank
put forth.
great. Any questions or comments from the council?
No. Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion second to open the public hearing, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak on the petition by NSTAR Electric, DBA Eversource, for a grant of right-of-way to install conduit at the Forest Park Road to the end of Thomas Street? If you'd like to be heard, please come forward. If you could just tell us your name and address for the record, please.
Patty Doyle, 6 Thomas Street. So the street's marked up again, and a majority of it is my yard. Are you digging up the sidewalk, or are you digging up the yard?
Where?
My
Ma'am,
yard
if you could
looks
just,
like an
if you could just
obstacle course.
identify yourself, please.
Hi, Kelly Correa from Eversource. I'll just answer some of the questions. Our original design, we had hoped to go in the sidewalks. We are not going to do that. There's no room for the new conduit, so we are going to be digging in the roadway, not the sidewalk.
Okay, so you're not digging up the lawns?
Correct.
Okay. Do we know when this work is gonna be done at all? I'm gonna assume it's springtime?
I believe as part of our conditions put on us by DPW, they wanted final paving done, am I correct, by the end of June?
June
2024? June 15th.
Okay.
So between now and spring, and it depends, weather dependent. We're aiming for spring. As long as the weather breaks early, we can get in there and
Okay. So my other question is, I had put in for the sunken hole in the street that was fixed. There's also a sunken hole in my yard that wasn't fixed, that I would like to have fixed before the bad weather gets here and it gets worse.
So if that's something we did as part of our test pitting, we'll
You
certainly.
definitely did.
We'll
Yep.
certainly
Yep,
come out. I'll talk to my conduit supervisor tomorrow
okay.
and,
Because I still have a copy of what I had put through to the DPW, that there were 2 sunken holes. One was in the street
yeah,
and one was on the property.
okay, yeah, certainly we'll check on that.
We will ask Eversource to work with the DPW superintendent to address those concerns.
Those are my only concerns. So the flags that are there, are we leaving those there through the winter, or?
I'm not familiar. I'm going to guess those flags may be some of the dig safe markings,
I think
just to
they are.
tell us where
Yep.
the existing things are.
Okay,
We're not going to be digging the conduit this week, so I imagine the flags are fine. I know normally you can't pull those up, but
okay,
again, I can certainly be in touch and verify that, if we're not digging now, you can,
okay. I mean, anybody through Jay or anybody can contact me. Those are just some of the questions, because it's been a while. It's good that it's finally being, you agree with each other of what has to happen. And I agree that it has to happen.
Yep.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
that's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to be heard? Okay, is there anything else from
Motion to close the
Eversource?
public hearing?
Anything else from Eversource before we do that?
No.
All set?
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the grant of right-of-way, including the conditions as outlined in Superintendent Duran's December 5th memo.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a petition by President Con Cannon per the request of the mayor to amend Woburn zoning ordinance as amended Title 26 photovoltaic systems, Section 26.2, Section 5.1, subsection 87, to allow roof-mounted solar energy systems in the OS zoning district. We did previously receive a memo from the planning board with proposed amendments, and we also are in receipt of a committee report from the Committee on Ordinance with those amendments adopted as ought to pass.
I do believe we may have previously received and placed on file that October 25th memo,
I
but just to
believe we
be
did.
sure, would you
Yep.
like to?
I'll make a motion that that memo be received and placed on file.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak on the petition regarding our Woburn zoning ordinances, Title 26, Solar Photovoltaic Systems, Section 26.2 and Section 5.1? This would allow roof-mounted solar energy systems in the OS zoning district.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Motion second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the committee report.
Second.
Motion second to adopt the committee report. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Chick-fil-A Inc. for a special permit to allow for the following pursuant to the Woburn zoning ordinance. 1, a fast food restaurant pursuant to Section 5.1 subsection 29. 2, an alteration of an existing non-conforming structure to allow for a new structure as shown on site plan pursuant to Section 7.3. And number 3, parking requirements to be met on a separate lot as shown on site plan pursuant to Section 8.3.1 at 17 Commerce Way.
I don't think we have any new communications.
And
actually.
we did receive a draft.
Received an email.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we receive the working condition, draft conditions as a working draft that Attorney Tabby provided via email today.
Second.
Very good, okay. Motion and second on that communication, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for that.
Now, do you actually have copies of those, or? Okay, I'll submit copies at the end here. Okay, for the record, Joseph Tabby, here on behalf of Chick-fil-A, in connection with the special permit petition at 17 Commerce Way. As you know, we haven't been before you in a while, so I'd just like to give you a quick update. And our expectation is that this matter will be reviewed in committee next Monday, and hopefully we can push it out for a vote on the December 19th meeting. So the special permit request is for a fast food restaurant at 17 Commerce Way. The property is approximately 1.32 acres of land. There's been a restaurant at that location for close to 50 years, initially with Brigham's Ice Cream, then Bertucci's, and as you know, Bertucci's closed earlier this year. Proposed use by Chick-fil-A will be a dine-in restaurant, no drive-through, with 78 seats inside. And if the zoning ordinance does get amended to allow for outdoor seating, they'll seek approval for 12 outdoor seats. Hours of operation are Monday through Saturday, no Sunday hours, 6:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. So last time we were before you, the city engineer had recommended that a peer review be completed on the traffic. VHB was selected as the city's peer reviewer. They completed their peer review last week. In its report, VHB stated, in general, VHB is satisfied with the responses and proposed changes to the site plan that were requested as part of the technical review. VHB recommends that the city consider conditions outlined in this letter should they be inclined to approve the request from the applicant. So one of the conditions that you'll see when we submit the proposed conditions is a traffic monitoring condition that was proposed by VHB that we have as part of our working list of conditions. On November 2nd, BOLA Engineering submitted a letter to the City Council addressing all of the comments from DPW, the Fire Department, and the Water Department. On November 21st, all three departments forwarded an email indicating that their issues have been resolved. What I'd like to do at this point, before I turn it over to Joey Fonseca or BOLA, I'd like to submit a couple of documents. One, we mentioned this at the public hearing. This is a parking easement that runs with the land that allows the user of this property to park underneath the deck, which is actually on Lowe's property. And the second one is an access easement between Lowe's, Citizens Bank, and the owner of the Bertucci's property. And this goes to one of the questions that Councilor DeMambro brought up at the last meeting about, moving a curb cut down towards Citizen. But in reality, they already have that option because there's an access easement. You'll see the plan that allows access over Citizens and out that driveway, which is close to where you suggested that it be a driveway. So, I was involved in this transaction back in 2000. There's a lot of complicated transactions, but basically what you see there runs with the land. So while the parking runs with the land, the access easement runs with the land forever. So I'd like to submit those two documents along with the emails from Jay Duran, Tony Blazjowski, and Larry Parise from the Fire Department, and then might as well submit the proposed conditions as well.
Make a motion that the papers be received, made part of the permit record.
Second.
Second.
Motion and second on all those communications, all in favor?
Aye.
So there's just two of these for the record. There's 10 of each one of those, yeah. next, so. While Diane's passing those out, we have had some revisions to the site plan. Joey Fonseca from Bola will review those revisions, and he'll be followed by Maureen LePayton of Bowman, who's the traffic engineer, who will review the PHB report. But I would like to submit, copies of the revised site plan. These are 11 by 17, and we do.
This is the presentation, we have the 11 by 17.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So these are for purposes of the presentation. We also will submit a full-size plan for the city clerk's office, so.
So you're
Like-
requesting right now, for Diane's benefit, to submit, these are what?
These are 10 copies of the revised site plan.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion that we receive those and make part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, thanks. And I'm going to turn it over to Joey right now.
Thank you.
Just hold on. Thank you. Thanks, Diane.
I think it's right under.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joey, you just give us your name and affiliation for the record?
It's Joey Fonseca, I'm with Bowler. We're at 352 Turnpike in Southborough, Mass.
Thank you. Do you need our screen?
Yeah, is the connection? I can also just go through the plan. Everyone has the same presentation.
Sure.
that I have.
That works.
If there's no issue, Okay, again, my name is Joey Fonseca with Bowler. So I'm just going to walk through some of the site plan changes, the grading changes, as well as the utility coordination that we've done. I think the plans that are in front of you, even though they're 11 by 17, I think they're pretty clear. And I've rev clouded in yellow, kind of highlighted some of the changes on all these plans. So I'll walk through them. The first few pages is really just IDing the site location, which I think everyone is all aware of on Commerce Way here. And we have the third page is a quick rendering, just showing some of the landscape improvements, which were discussed during our first hearing, around the building footprint as well. And just so everyone is aware, the existing building will be demolished. This Chick-fil-A will be built within approximately the same footprint as that existing Bertucci's building, but that building will be demolished. This will be a new build for the restaurant. The fourth sheet here is just showing the agreement that was just submitted regarding the cross-access easement as well as the parking easement through the property that was described earlier. So just a record of that. Again, this is just a larger version of that. So I'm going to hop into the site plan. And again, over the past few weeks, we've been closely coordinating with DPW, with Jay Duran, with Tony, with the water superintendent, as well as the fire department, and also coordinating our efforts with the peer reviewer here with some of the comments that they had regarding the site plan. So I'm going to start with the site plan changes. And I'm going to start with Commerce Way in our entrance. One of the comments that we had received was to upgrade the existing ADA connection points, the ramps that are along Commerce, along our frontage, They were all out of conformance, cross slopes, et cetera, and the ramps were steeper than ADA ramp requires to be compliant. So we are showing the 3 ramps, the 2 that flank the main drive into the main access drive into the site to be redone. So new ramps, new landing across the driveway there along Commerce, as well as the ADA ramp that heads across the Plaza Drive north of the site, where it heads into a crosswalk there and it crosses onto the abutting sidewalk, which that ADA crosswalk was compliant. So we are showing the 3 walks to be replaced on the current site plan set. Across the driveway access is also a no left turn and a one-way sign that are both really faded. Jay Comey and Jay Duran had recommended that we replace those signs, so we're showing the location on the site plans with those 2 signs to be replaced. They are faded and hard to read, so there'll be a new no left turn and a new one-way sign being proposed on that existing sign pole. And lastly here, which there'll be a little more discussion on, is just regarding the box, the do not block intersection striping that you're seeing kind of north of the Chick-fil-A restaurant building within that Plaza Drive. And this was a comment that was received. Concern was if cars were exiting this location on the northerly drive, that they would be blocking access to Lowe's or blocking access to the abutting property to the north. So what we're proposing is a do not block pavement markings, as well as 2 do not block intersection signs on either side of the exit drive onto that Plaza Way. The do not block pavement marking will need approval from the abutting property, in which we're currently in communication with. So it's shown on the plan, but there is a note for it to be coordinated with the abutting parcel owner for that. But we are proposing 2 signs, two do not block intersection signs within our parcel. So those are the site plan changes. As far as the grading, aside from the compliant ADA ramps, the only really change to the drainage is the addition of 8 more leaching galleys. The existing drainage system is composed of what previously was just 1 leaching galley. I believe in the 90s, they added 4, they're 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot cubes for additional storage. And I'm sure it's been neglected, so they infiltrate pretty slowly. So in coordinating with Jay Duran, we're gonna increase the size of that field just to allow for more storage within that parking area for stormwater, as well as introduce more infiltration over what's there today. So he agreed with that approach, and the only other item is there potentially could be a drain line that's crossing our site. It's unknown. The survey has a portion of it shown. It appears that it's heading in our site. It's a little unclear where it's heading, so our discussions with Jay Duran were that we would camera this line, see if it does in fact go through our site, and if it does, it might offer an overflow connection to that system to prevent any surcharging within the parking lot, which currently exists today. And that's the change for grading and drainage. And lastly was just coordination of the sewer and water. Here, again, the utilities were as I presented the first time, a lot of unknown, a lot of question marks where the utilities were running. We have found through researching with Jay Duran's office as well as ours, there is a water line for a fire connection line that runs along the rear of the parcel. In speaking with the water superintendent, with Tony, we're able to tee off of that service along the rear of the building in the access drive to feed our 6-inch fire service, which was submitted to the fire department, and they had agreed that was ample location to tie in for that service. The existing domestic service is going to be tied off of the existing 2-inch service that is within the sidewalk along Commerce Way. There's a gate valve there. It's going to be a new service run from that gate valve to the building. And again, this was reviewed and approved by the water superintendent as well. And lastly was just a sewer. There was an existing pump chamber in front of the building, actually within the right-of-way of Commerce. It was, clearly there wasn't a lot of grease removal upstream of it, so the pump chamber was heavily greased, and I think they've experienced some sewer backups issues with that. So we are proposing, there's an exterior grease trap, we have a 2,000-gallon grease trap, and this was shown on the prior plans. But we're replacing that pump chamber with an E1 system now that will run a new force main up along Commerce to follow where the existing force main is today, along Commerce that will tie into a manhole just before the existing manhole that exists on Commerce Way. Currently, the force main goes directly into that manhole. It goes over a drain line and then just dumps into the manhole. In our conversations with Jay Duran, he wanted us to tie into a manhole and then go gravity into that manhole. So the plans, the utility plans in front of you all today on the revised site documents show that connection, show the new force main to a new manhole within the sidewalk, and then it's a gravity connection into the existing gravity parking garage. And then the second is a truck turning radius for the trash truck, and where they're gonna be picking up, entering the trash enclosure, exiting, or reversing and then exiting the site. With that. And again, these were both submitted and coordinated with the peer reviewer as well. And then again, the next sheet here is just a landscape schedule, and we had already gone through this, but, you know, a good upgrade over what the existing condition is today with the landscaping. I know I presented it last time, but, you know, there's a lot of overgrown shrubs there today that haven't been maintained in a while, so a lot of that will be removed, and there'll be some new shrubs located along the perimeter to kind of green up and clean up the existing plantings around the building today. And with that, I think that's really it as far as the changes to utility and site plan that we have. I'd like to turn it over to Maureen with Bowman, and she can run through some of the traffic comments that she has addressed with BHB.
You want to wait for questions from the council till the very end?
Or, yeah,
We have a couple of questions now.
sure, yeah.
Why don't we do that then? Council Gately, you have a question?
Hi, I'm Dick Gately. I'm the Alderman of Ward 2. I'm also the former Deputy Superintendent Highway Foreman for the City of Woburn. And just to let you know, that section of Commerce Way, from the road going up to the, what you want to call it, we've had trouble with that. The Bertucci's and the rest of them were down there. We had numerous breaks down there, numerous backups. The grease traps weren't working properly. The manholes had no sewer, no inverts in them. No, you're gonna be tying onto this system. It should be a total inspection of that sewer main. It was never really rectified. I know we had trucks down there and sucking out the rubbish and the grease, and we made Bertucci's put a grease trap in and whatever we did. But that only didn't rectify it, it's just prolonged the agony. So that sewer main should be, take a look at before anybody ties onto it again. And I didn't quite hear what they said about your water. Your 2-inch water line can suffice for that building?
It does, for the domestic.
And what about your fire suppression?
It's a 6-inch line for the
6?
fire. Yep.
All right, so you're gonna be tying in a 6-inch fire suppression and 2-inch water line. The existing water line going into that building, what was it?
It was a 2-inch. It's a 2-inch into the existing building.
So you can tie under that?
We are, correct.
That's good.
Yep.
And there's always been kind of a little drainage problem down there, the water coming down there off that hill into that little intersection down there. I think more or less those catch basins have got to be maintained and got to be cleaned.
Correct.
The drainage system's not bad there, but the water can't get to it, it's not going to work.
Correct.
That's all I got so far.
Any other questions at this time? Council Campbell?
I have a question on, I am looking on let's see, the third page, where it's showing from Commerce Way, where people will be coming into Chick-fil-A. And then you have stripes, and I'm assuming that's where pedestrians would walk from their car into Chick-fil-A, is that correct?
Are you looking on sheet C 2.0, in the lower right?
I
Or-
am looking at
Is it-
L1.
Okay. So if you flip 2 sheets after that to sheet C 2.0, I think the area you're describing is the crosswalk from the ADA, the handicapped space location. Is that the area that you're referring to?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're showing a 3-foot wide striped lane there behind the ADA space, because there is no connection. There's basically a grass median between the spaces and the sidewalk along Commerce, so there's no actual connection. So under the prior Bertucci's, there was a crosswalk along there. We're proposing a 3-foot wide striped lane and a crosswalk to the walk entrance near the front of the building for those pedestrians to, accessible pedestrians to travel to that entrance.
Okay, I can't quite visualize what's going to happen. I'm going by the page L1, and it looks like as the pedestrians, as the cars are coming in to the parking lot, that they will be meeting anybody who is going to be walking on that crosswalk? Is that correct? Or am I missing something?
Correct. The crosswalk is close to the entrance drive there, but that is where and that's similar to what the existing addition was today with Bertucci's. We're just providing a path from the accessible route to the building. But correct, that's the location of the crosswalk there because the front door, the front of the building faces Commerce Way.
Okay, I mean, that seems like a safety issue to me. I mean, that you have 2 ways in, right? One there on Commerce Way, and then the other on the other side of the building. I know this is going to be a busy restaurant, and so the cars are coming in, and anybody walking in, which I am assuming will be quite a few people, are going to be meeting really head-on with cars. They're going to be right there.
I mean,
I'm a little concerned about that.
We can look at possibly extending the sidewalk along the side of the building. We do have some landscaping there to provide some additional sidewalk along there. I know the grades here are a little bit higher at the building, but we can look to see if we can extend the sidewalk along that side to allow for pedestrians to, if they're exiting that center parking bay, they can cross the aisle and then be into the sidewalk that leads to that front door.
Okay, I mean, if we could get an image of that too, something a little bit clearer, so that I can really see what that's going to be, I would appreciate that.
Okay.
And that's it, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next up.
Okay, yeah. And if I could just respond to the sewer comment as well, because I think, just so that you're clear, we are replacing the sewer system. It's going to be a whole new system from the building to the existing manhole further up Commerce Way. So today, it all leads to that pump chamber in front of the building, and then there's a 4-inch force main that goes up towards the manhole. That force main is going to be new. There's a new pump station. All the manholes leading to that pump station, it's all new service, new sewer, new manholes with, proper troughs with them in there to a new manhole right before it makes the final connection into the existing system up Commerce Way.
And when was this work done? Is it gonna be done?
It will be done as part of this project, correct?
Yeah. You're gonna need it, because
Yeah.
historically, that sewer main has been a lot of problems. I mean, I have one more question.
Okay.
How close is the nearest fire hydrant to you?
It's directly behind the building. There's
Behind
one,
your building?
but yeah, there's one in between the building and the track. It's right near the northerly entrance. It's
How
it's right
far
off
off
the
your
entrance.
building?
I'd say it's about 24 feet off the building.
24 feet, that's good, all right. As long as it's not too close to the building. All right. Well protected, I take it?
It's within a curbed island, yeah.
And 24 feet's fine. Anything less than 10 feet would say no. A lot of people like to put the fire hydrants there because it's a new building. That don't work.
It's an existing hydrant that's already there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And with that, I will turn it over to Maureen. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Maureen LePayton from Bowman, and I will just give a brief update of what has happened with the traffic and the peer review. As Joe Tarby had mentioned, we've made a lot of progress with the peer review process. As of last week, we have addressed all of the open comments remaining with VHB for both traffic and site plans. VHB's initial peer review memo was dated October 10th, 2023, and noted a few traffic-related items where additional information was requested. One of those was the crash rate worksheets to support the crash rates at the study area intersections that we provided in the report. Additional information on if any site-specific data beyond ITE exists for Chick-fil-A's without drive-throughs, and confirmation of the proposed traffic signal timing mitigation that we included in the traffic study, as well as providing the backup summary table showing the expected level of service, the delays, and queues. So McMahon had responded, or Bowman had responded to VHB's peer review comments on November 8th, addressing all of these items above with some additional follow-up on the 22nd of November. And as a result, VHB issued their final peer review memo to the city engineer on November 27th. As part of the final peer review memo and meeting that we had with the city engineer and VHB, there were a couple of questions that were asked of the petitioner if they would be able to commit to items to better address some of the comments, one of which Joey had previously mentioned, replacement of some worn signage at the site driveway on Commerce Way. Those signs have now been added to the site plans. The second was a commitment or recommendation of a plan to mitigate queuing impacts on the Lowe's Shopping Plaza driveway at the site driveway. Installation of do not block the box signs and markings on the Lowe's Shopping Plaza driveway were proposed by the team and found to be acceptable to address VHB's comment. Additionally, do not block intersection signs are proposed on the site property itself at the driveway, given that the do not block the box markings and signs are on private property and are in the process of being coordinated with the property owner for installation, but they are shown on the updated site plans. And the last item was a commitment of a traffic monitoring program. The petitioner is amenable to traffic monitoring program as outlined in the peer review response dated 11/27/23 from VHB. Additionally, there's been a few other items that have come up in discussion at prior hearings or with city staff pertaining to parking, the site driveway location or access, on Commerce Way, and the traffic signal operation at the Lowe's and Commerce Way signal that I just want to give a brief update about. As part of an easement agreement between Lowe's and the proposed Chick-fil-A property, there is a parking agreement that's included that would allow patrons of the proposed Chick-fil-A property to have access to the spaces under the Lowe's parking deck. And the combination of those spaces plus the spaces provided on the site property exceed the parking requirements. So parking should not be an issue. And then there was prior discussion, I believe it's at the prior hearing, about moving or creating a separate driveway on Commerce Way to the south of the existing driveway. And as Attorney Tarby had mentioned, there is also a shared access agreement between the Citizen site and the proposed Chick-fil-A site, where there's an internal connection between the two parking areas and access from Chick-fil-A. They would be able to access and exit out of the existing Citizens one-way exit northbound onto Commerce Way. I think the site comment originally was a concern that people would be exiting the Chick-fil-A driveway and having to cross over 2 lanes of traffic into the left turn lane on Commerce. People generally shouldn't be doing that. It's a restricted U-turn movement, so we had anticipated everyone using the northern site driveway to access points south on Commerce Way. So if someone was going from Chick-fil-A to the Woburn Village, that would be the only movement that would be expected for that. So that movement I don't think is going to be something that's frequently occurring, and then if people did want to exit further south, they would have access to the Citizens' existing curb opening. And then the last comment pertained to the signal coordination at Lowe's. And based on our site visit at at the end of June, as part of the traffic impact study, we had found that the signal on Commerce Way at Lowe's was operating without coordination. The signal is supposed to be coordinated, or previously had coordination timing plans with the Mass DOT-owned signal to the south on Mishawum Road at Commerce Way, but we found that it was not currently operating with those timing programs. And then additionally, based on correspondence from the city engineer last week, we were also informed that Mass DOT may have on their own updated the traffic signal controller in their cabinet at Commerce Way and Mishawum Road to a different make and model controller. And I guess just wanted to point out that if coordination is reinstated or changes to coordination are made, that would require approval by MassDOT. There's the potential that MassDOT may not ultimately approve proposed changes if it could negatively impact the intersection, their intersection at Mishawum Road and Commerce Way. So with that, I believe that is all of the traffic updates that I have. Is there any questions?
Questions? Council Marissa Bruin.
I'll wait for Attorney Tarby unless there's more
Are there questions
clarification.
specific to the traffic plan?
There are lots of questions about the traffic plan. There's lots of questions about all of it, frankly. The first comment I want to make, and I couldn't find my words the very first time you were all here, and I was talking about Chick-fil-A and how popular it is. And it occurred to me, maybe something people might understand is Chick-fil-A, people have heard of the Taylor Swift effect. So if Chick-fil-A were a pop star, it would be Taylor Swift. And I say that because if you've ever spent any time at all at the Chick-fil-A on Washington Street, there's no way that blocking signs and putting do not block driveways and adjusting some timing, there's no way it could possibly mitigate anything with the kind of traffic that is going to result from this restaurant. It is extremely popular. I don't need to tell anybody here that. You've all seen it. And if you haven't, please go. It's wonderful, and Mr. Rose does a great job. But he has much more space, and we had to fix it, if everybody remembers. So that's my number one concern. I don't see how this site works, even without a drive-through. So, secondly, Joe, in the list of conditions, something for you to consider. When we last met, I talked about a deed restriction for the drive-through. The language in your condition number 8 leaves this open to a city council vote someday for a drive-through. So that's absolutely unacceptable. I'm not even sure if we can get there just as a regular restaurant. So I wanted to make sure I threw that out there right away. Let me bounce back to the mitigation. There's a condition here about traffic monitoring. So the folks, the petitioner, they're going to monitor their own traffic for a year and then 6 months after, and a year after occupancy. And if it comes up a little bit higher, then they'll maybe propose some things. That's the Reader's Digest version of this condition?
There would be a traffic engineer that would hire a memo.
But it would be somebody that you folks hire and keep an eye on it. I just want to remind the city council, that condition is very similar to what we were convinced we should do for the Woburn Village. And I want to ask you all, just to think about it before we meet again, how did that work out? So I'm also concerned to hear that some of our equipment that we have down there isn't what we thought it was, and that's not on you, okay? And if some of these changes require Mass DOT approval, then you'd have to have those changes. Because if there are city councilors here that may vote on it based on that timing being able to happen, it certainly can't happen without that. So as much as I love Chick-fil-A, like everybody else here, I know what's going to happen. I am not even close to being convinced that this is the right spot for it. Happy to talk about it in committee, but I think we still have a ways to go, especially in the mitigation area. Joe? Attorney Tarby?
Yeah, the mitigation, yeah.
If I could just provide a brief
Absolutely.
response.
Thank you very
Sure.
much.
Just pertaining to the trip generation and mitigation, I just do want to point out that it does not have a drive-through. The site does not have a drive-through. Those trips are generally different than a site that would have a drive-through. And the monitoring program is really there to, VHB didn't have any significant comment about, the trip, using ITE as the trip generation estimate. They did ask if there was site-specific data. There is no site-specific data, so the monitoring program is to support the ITE trip generation. And if there is found to be a difference of trips, in addition to delays or congestion or issues as a result of those trips, then the mitigation would be proposed. And it could include things like additional fine-tuning of the traffic signal timings, coming up with internal site circulation or other site improvements internally to help with that traffic flow. So there's other things that can be done, but that was the intent.
Okay, I so appreciate this, and I feel bad that you're on the other end of this, because it has nothing to do with you, so please don't take it personally. This is just from a lot of experience, right? And what I can say is, the traffic doesn't move down there now. So this isn't, and I understand why VHB probably didn't have any recommendations, because they know that this is not a typical restaurant. Even though it's not a drive-through, if you go to the restaurant up on Washington Street, oftentimes I'll think, well, there's probably nobody inside. The restaurant has just as many people inside as it does outside waiting to go through the queues. So this isn't what we're used to. And I can't think of any other town around here that has two. So again, that's where a lot of my concerns are coming from. And, the timing, everybody makes it sound like it's easy. We're a year and 3 months into still trying to get some timing adjusted over on Washington Street at Cedar and Salem and Washington. A year and 3 months. So, I just want to urge the council to proceed. We must proceed with caution, especially in this area. Let's learn from the things we've done in the past. And, let's have some more conversation in committee. But Attorney Tarby, unless something drastic happens between now and December 19th, I don't see this thing making it off the floor. It won't make it off the floor with my support unless something changes. So, thank you.
Council DeMambro.
I wanted to just, if I could just address
Sure.
the covenant request, because you may want to get an opinion from the city solicitor on this. I understand your request for a covenant. I know when it's been done a couple of times in the past, it was the property owner as the petitioner. Here, we have no control over whether or not we can provide a covenant, because my client doesn't own the property. Further, I was on a loan committee for over 10 years on a local bank, and I can tell you right now that a covenant on the property prohibiting a drive-through on there, even though we've offered it up as a condition, would have an adverse impact on the value of the property. Further, the case law is pretty clear that, to impose the requirements of a covenant in a situation like this as a condition where the petitioner has no control over, the courts have found that those conditions have been legally untenable, and have struck them down. So I just wanted to give you our position on the covenant. We have no control of it. We don't own the property. Property owner is not going to, agree to put a covenant on his property that would adversely impact the value. So I understand what you're saying. We may never agree on it, but I just wanted you to know what the legal issues are with that request.
Through the chair. Yep. Attorney Tarby, I hear you. But I also want to remind the city council that the Chick-fil-A on Washington Street the first time around, did not have a drive-through and was conditioned as such. It took a hot minute in one election, and then all of a sudden, the petitioner was in front of us for a drive-through. And that didn't turn out so well initially, after that. So whether or not it can be a covenant, the language that's here now isn't sufficient. But again, as I said earlier, I have great concerns just even as a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant. But thank you.
Okay. And, then again, on the traffic, you hire a peer reviewer, nationally known traffic engineering firm, VHB, and, I think they know what they're doing,
Through the chair?
Yes.
The city has hired many peer reviewers. So can I ask you, Attorney Tarby, what was done wrong? Because we weren't supposed to have deadlocked traffic, right? So if these peer reviews are always right, and frankly, it's been my experience that they haven't been always right. They're based on data, numbers that get plugged in, and data that they have out there from other scenarios that have happened. This scenario here isn't like any other data they've seen for restaurants. I am sure of that. I'm pretty sure VHP probably felt the same way. So yes, I appreciate the hard work they do, and I appreciate their professionals, but it would not be the first time where things were not quite what they are in reality. Thank you.
Okay, Council DeMembro.
Yeah.
I agree with my colleagues. This is a real busy area. The traffic is unimaginable, especially during the day between, 11:30 and 1:30. It's an absolute rush down there. Everybody's got 20 minutes basically to run around and do their errands and get a bite to eat. I'm concerned with the layout of this, knowing the traffic, especially with Lowe's. Again, it's another hot area. A lot of people shoot into Lowe's. A lot of contractors shoot over there at lunchtime. You got Market Basket right across the street. These entrances, even the shared entrance and exit over at Citizens Bank, hopefully that's wide enough and we'll be able to handle the volume of traffic, as my colleague has said. It really is. It's the most popular restaurant probably in the country, is Chick-fil-A. I also have concerns with if we dig up that street on Commerce Way to adjust or do any types of modifications on that sewer line. Again, that's a very, very busy street. I'm hoping that when they go to do this type of construction, it's done at a reasonable hour, not at, during the day, Monday through Friday. You're going to have to look at possibly doing this at night just to cut back on all the volume of cars, trucks, and trailers and everything else that's down there. So, and I agree with Councilor Marissa Bruin. I think this needs to go back to committee, and there's a lot that needs to be hashed out here. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, I agree with both my fellow colleagues that just spoke. As a patron of Chick-fil-A, as we all are, you can see how many people go to these locations. This location here on Washington Street, I do not see as the perfect fit for this. Personally, I try and stay out of this whole area myself going shopping because the traffic's that horrendous. So, I don't see personally myself voting in favor of this, but I'm willing to listen to the rest of the councilors. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Demers.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I understand the concerns with the covenant, and I think, on condition 8, that has to do with the drive-through. We've seen these prohibitions listed in special permits as conditions before. So maybe just the simplicity of it is the issue, as opposed to coming up with more restrictive language, whether that, outlines that the petitioner will not be allowed to repetition or ask for a modification of the special permit, or something along the lines of, a time frame where that restriction will last. Maybe that's something we can look at. I'm just bringing it up now because I'm not a member of the Special Permits Committee. And then the other thing to the effect of the peer reviews that we get and traffic studies, that's only the site trip generation, okay? So it would be trip generation in and out of the site. I think what we've concerned, and it's kind of been in the elephant in the room for a long time with these peer reviews, is that it's only studying what's coming to and from the site. It doesn't encounter traffic flow right now. It doesn't encounter rush hour. It doesn't encounter people from various communities surrounding us using all the different types of GPS and MapQuest and Waze cutting through our community. That's not necessarily traffic that's being generated or actually being counted based on projects that have occurred in Woburn. So I think that's something important to be mindful because, again, the peer reviews is the site trip generation. So I just wanted to make that comment because I think it bared a little bit of background on this issue. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Gately.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Dick.
Joe, you and I have been doing this a lot of years. And as the peer reviews that we have seen, different developments all over the city, some of them are laughable. You know, I read all the peer reviews in the world down at Commerce Way. Are not going to make me think that it's viable to have that building down there. I'll tell you straight out, it ain't going to work. No, it's a great outfit. It's a great product that they sell. Wrong location, but that's just me. I don't have any trust in the peer review, so every time I see one, I go, yeah, right. I haven't seen a peer review yet that hurt any traffic anywhere. So I think you better think twice about doing what you think you're going to do down there. Definitely there'll be no drive-through, but the language on this drive-through here, on this paper, has really got to be put together. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No drive-through, no tunneling, no overhead, no side to side, no drilling a hole in the top of the roof. That all has to be done, So the drive-through will never work down there. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Anything else from the council?
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Motion second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak on the petition from Chick-fil-A for special permit at 17 Commerce Way? Seeing nobody.
I will make the motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Special Permits and be continued to the regular meeting of the council on December 19th.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Suntree Estates LLC for a special permit under Section 5.1, subsection 12, and Sections 8.3.1 of the Woburn zoning ordinance to allow for a child care center and shared parking with adjacent premise at 205 and 213 Cambridge Road. A communication dated December 5th, 2023 was received from attorney Christopher J. Alphin of Alphin, Blattman, Robrowski, Haverty, and Silverstein LLC, requesting a continuance of this matter until the December 19th hearing. I'll make a motion that the communication be received and made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion second on the communication. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak on the petition for a special permit from Suntree Estates LLC? This is regarding a child care center and shared parking with the adjacent premise at 205 and 213 Cambridge Road. If you'd like to be heard, please come forward. If you give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Colleen Delano, 210 Cambridge Road in Woburn. So I just want to reiterate again that we, as the neighboring community of Day Circle, certainly are not fond of this idea at all. And specifically, regarding the traffic that is going to impact Day Circle and Cambridge Road. Again, it's interesting to hear you speak about concerns about the traffic on Commerce Way. We have those same concerns regarding the traffic pattern on the west side, specifically Cambridge Road and Day Circle. And I think without regard to the Dover Amendment, I think everybody in this room and on the council would have the same concerns and rightfully verbalize them concerning safety and the impact of traffic, et cetera. But yet, as we all know, the Dover Amendment is hovering over us and certainly dictating, I think, how the council feels regarding this erection as being proposed and being built. Again, I just want to please urge the council to hear our concern over the traffic pattern and ultimately the safety of our community. I know the Dover Amendment, is a concern, and it would be an uphill battle for the city to take on. But I truly think that the Dover Amendment needs to be amended. Times have changed within the 75 years since its origin. I think when enacted, perhaps it was needed due to society at the time not supporting religious or daycare facilities' presence. In the 50s, if we can remember back then, the majority of families cared for their extended family within the home, and they did not seek or need outsourced assistance. However, real time today in 2023, things have changed. Society has evolved and become more tolerant and accepting of all groups, beliefs, and special needs. The need for two incomes is great, and then subsidized assistance for one family income overwhelming, and therefore outsourced assistance from daycare facilities is welcomed and needed. We as a community are not ignorant to this need. We are just in support of building this type of a facility in a parcel that supports the safety and well-being of the neighborhood community as well. We as a community strongly feel that if erected, this school will compromise the safety of our neighborhood. Traffic is already a nightmare, and the concern for Day Circle becoming a cut-through, inevitable. The safety of our children will be compromised, and fearful of a constant congested traffic pattern daily. This certainly will change the allure of our neighborhood. We currently enjoy the pleasure of taking walks around the neighborhood, playing ball in the yard, riding bikes in the street. If this daycare is erected and house 180 students daily, all of this will be gone. Our streets will become the danger zone, our kids unable to be outside without supervision for fear that a car may errantly speed by. We need the support of our city officials to stop this from happening. We as a community have supported you and all of your campaign to be our voice, so we're urging for an unwavering effort against this happening. So in support of the Day Circle community, we have we've started a petition for the neighborhood to certainly voice their concern. So it was an outsourced petition via email. The name of it was Jot Form, and there was a little campaign attached to it for the community to state, please go online and voice your opposition. So I can forward the flyer that had a QR code for residents to, use their iPhone and go on the QR code, which brought them to the template for the petition to sign in opposition. I canvassed the community, and I think I stuffed 97 mailboxes, and certainly they were in close proximity to 205 and 213, so probably a quarter of a mile I canvassed. Out of 97 mailboxes that I stuffed, there were 70 responses in opposition, and some had comments as well. And it's interesting, the comments specifically were concerning the traffic and the safety of the neighborhood. So I can forward those to be part of our...
If you could submit those either,
Motion
if you have something to submit tonight, we can take it. Otherwise, you could email it to the city clerk and they could bring it to our attention.
I have it to submit tonight.
Make a
motion to
receive
accept to
it.
make part of the permanent
Part of the
record.
permanent
Second.
record.
Motion and second on this communication, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll take that.
And enclosed in the petition is the neighbors' email addresses. That certainly, if need be, you can go and verify that that is the, owner of the signature.
Okay.
And the petitioner, again, was supposed to be here tonight, I think, to review the proposal. And I think this is the third time that the petitioner has, at the last moment, asked for an extension. So we as a community, it's a bit frustrating that everybody alters their schedule and, tries to be here and support. And so for 3 times now, at the last minute, we've been told that the petitioner is not going to be available. The next hearing date, I think, is December 19th, and that's for when the extension has been granted. But again, we as a community, December 19th is going to be the Tuesday before Christmas. I don't know if it's strategic on their part, to ask for that extension the week before Christmas. So perhaps some of our neighbors might be unavailable. So I'm not sure what the rules are, but if we, the community, could ask for an extension till now after the holiday, that might play out in our favor.
Just to clarify, council had a special permits committee meeting last week, and during that committee meeting on this topic, there were questions asked by the council, and actually a motion that was approved by the committee to send communication to our peer review with additional questions that we wanted them to answer. And because those questions have not come back yet from our peer review, our questions to our peer review, that's why the petitioner is requesting the continuance, because that information has not yet come back to the council. So just to clarify why tonight's continuance was requested.
I appreciate
Councilor
that.
Bruin?
Yes, thank you, President Concanon. I was just going to suggest the point that's been raised here tonight about December 19th is a very valid point. It is a week before Christmas. People are going to be busy. So the council might want to consider changing the night of the hearing to after January. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Councilor Campbell, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, hi, Mike, hi, Colleen. We definitely hear you. In the committee meeting, we discussed in length about the safety of this project as well as the traffic. Our peer review, VHB, came back saying really that there would not be an issue with the additional traffic, and I know that several of the aldermen were not surprised, and similar to what we were talking about with the Woburn Village. So it's getting to the point where I just feel like, why are we even doing it? It almost hurts us more than it is helping us at all by getting that information, because then it's something, obviously, that the attorneys can use, saying that, the peer review showed this. But what I will say is the aldermen in the special permit committee are very concerned, as well as the other aldermen here. And we discussed in length about requesting that the house be demolished to help with the safety issue. And that is what the question is to VHB. Would that improve the safety so that the entrance or exit would not be right at the day circle area, if that's something that, if it was moved up? But my bigger question was the fact that they're taking two properties. They want really one property, but they just don't want to combine it because they want to keep the house there.
I think,
Where they are this week?
I think in regards to the house, though, I think the reason why they want to retain the house is that the house is needed for part of the parking. I think the house.
Well, no, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. They can't, but I'm saying they need to combine the property. If they're going to do it right, they should be combining the property instead of trying to use the second property, but really say, they're saying they can use the second property because of the whole Dover Amendment. That's what they're
Exactly.
getting at.
Yeah.
So we did talk about that, we did question it, we did ask the city solicitor and the building commissioner about this. And we're kind of just pulling everything together on it. I believe we have some points that we might be able to stand on, where we could deny the permit and hopefully maybe stand on some solid ground.
If the house isn't part of the school, how does the Dover Amendment protect that? He's just gonna use that as like a rental property. That, to me, that
Oh,
just
no,
sounds like,
absolutely, that's why
real
they,
estate, that doesn't sound like it's part of the school, which is protected by, the not-for-profit status, that's gonna make a profit.
Right.
no, absolutely, and that's why, once again, we're looking into it, we're definitely not rushing into it. We hear you. This whole Dover Amendment, I love what you said, Colleen. Is it a time to put our foot forward and really raise the question, this needs to be looked at again, because
Yeah.
make it one property if you're going to do it. Don't try to squeeze all
Or
of this.
just buy a parcel of land that would support, the building and the traffic
Absolutely.
and not compromise the safety of where it's being built.
Absolutely,
In this
absolutely.
day and age, I think it's time to, revamp that and truly make them abide by the zoning regulations and the setbacks, et cetera. Like, it's just, we're not ignorant to the fact that daycares are needed, but they need to be housed in a place that doesn't compromise the surrounding community. And that's the point
Right,
that we're
so
trying to
we
make.
are still looking into it, and myself and Councilor Viola, we are looking into the details of some case law to see what kind of footing that we can actually have if we decide to deny it, so that we can uphold it in the case of law.
Councilor Viola, excuse me one second. Did you have something you want to add at this point?
I'll wait till Councilor Campbell's done.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really it.
Okay,
One
one of our neighbors who usually comes, but tonight when she learned the petitioner was not going to be present, decided not to come. But she has done some research and she's learned that Boston, for whatever reason, is currently exempt from the Dover Amendment. So, she's looking more into that to find out why they're exempt, and perhaps there may be something that she finds that might be of benefit to us. But, it's interesting to know that in Massachusetts, supposedly the Dover Amendment is upheld, but yet why then is Boston exempt? So fuel for thought, and we'll look further into it, I guess.
Probably because the State House is right there.
And just so, one last thing, what I had said the other night in committee, I'm not against a daycare. It
Yeah.
just has to be, you can't be trying to squeeze so much.
And I think
It's
that,
one only like a half a mile away, same type
Yeah.
of school.
and
Primrose?
that's included in
Yeah.
the documentation as well, yeah.
But-
So, yeah, we appreciate it.
And talk out of hand for you.
Councilor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Completely agree with you 100%. This daycare center does not fit the area, doesn't fit the neighborhood. It's going to cause more traffic, more concerns. It's going to cause more issues for pedestrians, kids going to school, people going to work, or the residents themselves in the neighborhoods. Safety is the number one priority. As I said before, I'm against this project 100%. I'm going to work with the council to hopefully that we can come to some remedy on this property, on this project. It's going to take a lot for me to support this, and I also believe that this petition should be continued to the first meeting in January, not the December 19th meeting. Thank you.
Counsel Gately.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I know you people are working hard. Same thing as a lot of these city council people here are working hard. I'm gonna go back to what I said the original meeting. I am not for this. Nothing to do with the daycare. We got daycares all over the city of Woburn,
Right.
you know? And we kind of smile on them because they do a good job, they do good work. That is not the location for a daycare, period. And the house and the 2 pieces of land, how many apartments were in that house before the roof caved in, do you remember?
No,
Four?
I think it was just one
Single-family
house,
home.
but
It was a
the
single
pastor
family.
and his wife had a lot of people staying there.
Yeah.
You know, they had a lot of rooms in the
Like a
house.
rooming
They had
house.
a lot of people that were
Like
trying
a
to
rooming
help, you know?
And they got out of there as soon as the roof caved in.
Yeah.
I know those laws and stuff that protect people like him, and, you know, it's shameful that you have to do that. You have to go into, you know, your bag of tricks to get something done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're trying to fight it. And if we find a legal way of doing it, we'll do it, but, you know, my hands are tied. I'm not for this project. I won't vote for this project. I don't care if they say, we're gonna put you in jail, I don't care. I'm not gonna be for it. I will not be standing there watching an ambulance take a young child away. All right? That's not gonna
Appreciate that.
happen.
Thank you.
Can we ask is,
All these accidents that are gonna happen and all everything else, so. Keep doing your work, we'll do ours.
okay,
Thank you.
let's just see if there's anybody else here who might want
Sure.
to speak. Is there anybody else who would like to be heard? Thank you. Please come forward if you give us your name and address, please.
My name is Frank Rabafetti. I live at 3-Day Circle. 3-Day Circle is perpendicular to the property that we're talking about. I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous. But I'm concerned about the traffic and the safety. I can't remember, I've been in Woburn since the early 70s, and if I'm not mistaken, we had a school crossing guard get hit by a car sitting in the middle of the thing holding up a stop sign right up the street. And the people come up from 4 Corners, like Chuck Viola said, they come up and they're speeding. You know, now we're saying, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a daycare in. Now we're gonna have parents and their little kids going across the street if the parking lot is overcrowded. I mean, there's a big, huge safety issue there. I mean, even Mr. Gately said the same thing. I mean, are you sure this is the best thing for the citizens of Woburn? Which I have another deal with is the amount that these people are charging. I mean, I don't know about you people, but I'm a pharmacist and my wife an interior designer. I mean, I don't think we could afford $40,000 a year for daycare. So it's definitely not for the Woburn residents. It's basically for the people in Winchester and people in Lexington. I mean, I don't know, you know, why we should be kowtowing to those type of people when we have our own citizens to be concerned about. I mean, the traffic in the morning coming down from Winchester into 4 Corners is such that I don't go out onto Cambridge Road if I'm going someplace. I cut through over to Mayflower and go down Lexington Street. The traffic is bad, like Chuck said. I mean, I know a lot of you have been through 4 Corners, but I don't know if you've been there recently at 8 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock at night to see the traffic. Years ago, like Mr. Gately said, the city did a study when the taco place was going to open up, and they came back and said, oh, no, it's not going to influence the traffic at 4 Corners at all. It did. It did. It impacted the traffic. It's busier. You know, and are we looking at an intersection that's busy to begin with? Now all of a sudden saying, okay, we're going to have 185 cars coming in at the busiest times of the day at 8 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock at night? I just don't think it's right. I think it's from a safety perspective and a traffic perspective, I think we're making a mistake. And that's just my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Evening.
My name is James Nicholson, 26-Day Circle, and I appreciate the support that seems to be shown tonight to reject this proposal. for safety issues, the traffic. And what I've heard tonight about peer reviews of traffic flow and things like that, I think to quote Mr. Gately, it's laughable at times. And I can't see how a report on traffic on Route 3 there, Four Corners, can be amenable to having this project go through. So I want to thank you for your consideration, and we'll follow this through. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Council Mercer Bruin.
Thank you. So there's been a lot of talk about the Dover Act, and that is precedent-setting law, right? But, so laws get challenged all the time.
Right.
And I, for one, don't want to sit on a city council where we say, well, we can't do that, we're going to be sued. We need to be mindful of those things, and we need to understand what could happen. But I also think it can't make us be afraid to make the decision we know is the right decision for our city. And as the neighbors have been talking, the one thing that just occurred to me is this daycare really, just as the citizens were saying here, really isn't catering and providing a service to the people in our community. I'm not an expert on the Dover Act, but perhaps that is something we should look into in order to potentially challenge the Dover Act. Maybe that's our way, if it's not the traffic. Let's not be afraid to do what we were asked to do here.
Council Campbell.
And that's what I'm doing, thank you. Yeah, that is what I'm doing. I got case law from the city solicitor, and so I am now looking at this. I think we have a chance to really take this. Each property from the case law is different. Every property is different, and that's what it's showing from the information that I received. So I am doing that, and that's what I think also we need to do, and when it comes time for the vote, that we have some really solid findings, and then we take the step from there and see what happens. You're absolutely right. We cannot be afraid to vote something down just because they're going to say they're going to take us to court. We have a right as a city council to deny it if it's not right for our city. And then let's see what happens in the court. I mean, that's our right. That's what we do.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here tonight who would like to be heard on this petition by Sun Tree Estates at 205-213 Cambridge Road?
Hi, Mike Delano, 210 Cambridge Road. I was thinking about the whole thing with all the daycares. You said there's quite a few in Woburn. Maybe the Dover Amendment could be challenged on the fact of, like just saturation of a certain area. How many daycares can fit in one small area? I guess, and by my estimation, there's at least 3 or 4 right within a half mile of my house. So this would be like the 4th or 5th. So I mean, maybe the state needs to look at the fact that how not just pound them in there, but how what already exists, and what already exists, and how and is that servicing the community that that it's in and not servicing some other community. I mean, this guy already owns 2 other daycares, so he's not in it for the daycare; he's in it for the money. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
Make a motion that we continue the public hearing until the first meeting in January?
Second.
There's a mo-
Before we do that, excuse me.
On the motion,
On the
Council
motion,
Campbell.
excuse me. So what does that mean? We will be losing you, Mike, and obviously Dick won't be able to vote. He is also leaving the council.
Right.
So where does that stand at
Well,
that
the
point?
new
Does that mean
members-
we have just 7?
Yeah, the new members would not be able to participate.
Right, okay.
You'd be able to participate, not be able to vote.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the votes wouldn't count.
Okay, and I guess my question is, and you might not be able to answer this, but how do you think that would appear, say, in the eyes of the court, that we were 2 votes down when we went forward? Do you think that would affect?
Well, it's not my role to give legal advice to
No,
our
no,
own
you're
counsel.
absolutely right. You're
But
right.
I would suggest that the council has the authority to do what it thinks is best
Mm-hmm.
and to proceed at the pace it thinks is appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And, we do what we think is right.
Yeah, okay. All right, good. All right, thank you. So yes, go ahead. Second on that.
On the motion.
On the motion, Council Viola.
I'd also like to send this back to Special Permits Committee so we can speak about it more.
Okay, so
I'll withdraw my motion and amend I'll withdraw and then make the motion that we send refer this matter to the Committee on Special Permits and continue the public hearing until, I believe it's January 9th, the first Tuesday after we get sworn in. Or would our meeting be on the 2nd? It's on the 2nd? So I'll amend my motion to have it on January 2nd.
So there's a motion
Second.
and a second that we send this matter back to this Committee on Special Permits and that we continue the public hearing until the first meeting of the council in January, which we believe is January 2nd. Correct?
Correct.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda under committee reports, finance order appropriating $1 million for the Green Street Playground and authorizing the mayor treasurer to borrow money. A committee report was received, ought to pass. Make a motion that the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion second, the committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, on the order authorizing the city to file and accept grants from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs from the Land Water Conservation Fund Grant Program for the Green Street Playground. Committee report was received, ought to pass. I'll make a motion that the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion second that this committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye. On the reappointment of Timothy Donovan to the Commission on Disability, a committee report was received, ought to pass. I'll make a motion that the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion second, this committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda are petitions for renewal for first-class motor vehicle license, sales licenses by Lawless Inc., 196 Lexington Street, and DCD New Car, Woburn LLC, doing business as New Car Chevrolet of Woburn, 40 West Street. Committee report was received, ought to pass. I'll make a motion the committee report is adopted.
Second.
Motion second, the committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda on the petitions for renewal for second-class motor vehicle sales license by Adamo Rufo, doing business as Route 16 Auto Broker, 280 Salem Street, Woburn Gas and Services, Inc., 545 Main Street, Enterprise Rent-A-Car Company of Boston LLC, 248 Mishawam Road, Lawless, Inc., 193 Main Street, Woburn Square Mobile, 23 Pleasant Street, ENC Auto Broker LLC, 505 Main Street. A committee report was received, ought to pass. I'll make a motion that the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion second, the committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye. Next item on the agenda, on the petition of new livery license for Mech Limousine, 111 Locust Street, Townhouse 35. A committee report was received, ought to pass. I'll make a motion the committee report be adopted.
Second.
Motion second, that this committee report be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned at 8:03. Thank you.
I've been doing that.